So I hope you all are doing good. We have seen attention layer, transformers layer, and different pieces of LLM, how it works, and all such things in these two videos. If you see chapter one, chapter two, and then the intro of Master LLM. So if you have not seen, you can go there. But in today's video, and one good news for you is whatever we did so far is all conceptual. It's a deep dive into the LLM. But from today onwards, it's all practical, the implementation piece. So today's video is completely focused on, if you see, the OpenAI SDK. So we will make use of it. We'll try different options. We'll see different arguments. We'll see different functions that we can use, and so on. We'll make a progress inside it. So in coming videos, we are going to learn about LLMs with OpenAI SDK, along with the tools, and then along with the resources, along with the comparison with different types of models. So all this we will do directly by making use of OpenAI SDK. Once we are good with this amount of knowledge, then we will move on to the next, that is framework. So we have frameworks also at different levels of abstractions. One which provides us with the different functionality, but internally it is making use of OpenAI SDK. One which provides us with the UI layer of abstraction. So we will see. We will see few agentic AI, OpenAI SDK based frameworks. Then we will see LangChain, LangGraph, and then um, MCP servers. So all this is what in our queue. And with that mention, today we will be focusing on how to generate the API key for this OpenAI, and then we'll make use of the documentation that it is providing, and we'll try to, play around with the agent. So with that mention, let's get started. So the first thing that we will do is we let's see what is all that the platform is giving. So if I go to a fresh tab, just type platform.openai.com. Okay, and then we'll see this kind of quick guide. So if we see get started, and we will see the steps that we that it is asking which language and what all. But what we understand is we do anything out of it. The common thing that we need across any use cases, we need an API key. Okay, so now whether I use the old methods, new methods, doesn't matter. I need to create an API key. So make sure that you are signed in, and then once you're signed in, you can either create an API key or you can click on settings. Okay, so maybe let me click on settings, and here I'll go to API keys. Okay, now I have few open API keys created already, but what you can do is you click on create new secret key, enter something, select your project. Okay, if not, you can create a project, but the key that we are creating uh, is nothing to do with the specific project as of now. So as of now, you can select anything or select or let it be the default value, but enter something and then create. So once it is created, you will get something like this, which is SK or something. Okay, so make sure that you save it somewhere safe, because we are not going to get it again, and then we are going to make use of it in our cursor. We are going to see in some time. So for now, if I go back to the libraries page, and all these links I will share in the description, you can see that okay, once we created the key, okay, we have options of different language, and we are going to go with the Python. And we can see what it is asking us is basically you install OpenAI, and then there are different ways of making a call, giving our prompt and input, and getting the response. So I have structured this everything, written the snippet for you so that you can focus on understanding instead of writing the code. So for that, what I would be doing is I am opening cursor, and this Jupyter notebook or Python notebook is what we are going to run line by line. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do to follow along with the full practicals of this playlist is you do two things for me. So first thing is you install cursor. So what you can do is you can go to cursor.com. Okay, and instead of IntelliJ or such thing, you can download, maybe just say download cursor. Okay, you can download this cursor, and then once you get ID, you can get something like this. Okay, now I am doing one more favor to you. One is the installation of libraries, creation of virtual environment. All this you don't have to do. I will do all that for you. You just have to run one command. So before we get into that, let's say now we are good with the ID that we are going to use. Now I want you to make use of UV package manager. Okay, so to download UV package manager, what you can do is either you can say download UV package manager, or you can go to this website docs.astral.sh. So if you go here, you can select based on your operating system. You can run this command in your PowerShell or your Linux command. But overall, these two things is what we want. Okay, now this code base I have kept already on the GitHub. Once this installation is done, you have cursor and you have UV package manager. Now you can go to my GitHub repo and you have a repo called Agentic Dpoint. So whatever notebooks, notes that we are going to use across this, you can find it here. So you can simply clone it, and once you clone it, you are basically here in this, like this your project will be open. So what you can do, first thing is first thing first, so open a new terminal. I don't want you to spend time on setting up the environment, or doing any such kind of configuration things which has nothing to do with agentic. So just say uv sync. So when you do uv sync, all the libraries that it requires, it will get it for you. Since I have already done it, it's there, and the virtual environment will be created for you. Okay, now what you do is lab 1 is what we are going to do. So you open lab 1, and the first thing that you need to do is, before you run any command, you need to make sure the kernel is selected. So this kernel is nothing but coming from your virtual environment. So click on select kernel and then select your virtual environment. If it is not visible here, you can click on Python environments and you can find which one. So usually the star mark one is the virtual environment that you have in your current repository or your current folder. So select that one, and you can start along with me. So I hope so far it is clear for you. Now one more thing that you can do is, you have dot environment. In dot environment file, yeah, um, I have added my key. You can add your key. Of course, you cannot use this because you can see I did not scroll to the right, so you cannot see all of my keys. So you can add your SK key that we generated just now. And then let's jump onto the lab one. So first thing what we do is, first thing is we are going to load the OpenAI key from the dot environment file, because we are going to use the agents that keys multiple places. We don't want to configure it in our code base. So uh, after you do that, and your environment is set up in .env, your kernel is selected. Now you are ready to start executing. So first thing we'll do is we'll try to load our thing. So you can see the square box, it is not executed as of now. Since I'm running it after a long time, it is taking a minute. I'll wait for it to complete. So overall what I'm doing is load everything that you have in environment is what I'm saying. So once your command is executed, you can see something else. Tick mark means your execution is completed. Now on our secondary note, if you see true means your .env is identified successfully and loaded successfully. But if there is any issue, let's say env is not created or something, then this won't come. And for your information, I have created local.env so that you can populate these keys and change it to .env. So these are all one-time thing, and make sure you don't push your .env file ever. Okay. Alright, now we will validate whether the OpenAI key is detected or not. So if I run this, I can see OpenAI key exists and it begins with this. So we have loaded our environment key. Now the first thing that we are doing is we are trying to make use of OpenAI library literally. We are not using any frameworks as of now. So what does the library says? That from OpenAI, from this module, you import this function and you create an instance of it. Okay. And in that we can provide different models and different inputs. Now, if you see, this is client.response.create. This is one way of communicating with LLM. Okay. Now we have one more classical model called chat chat way. So what is it? Let's see. So this is okay. Let's run this and then we will go on to that. So first we have to import OpenAI module, and from that OpenAI function, create instance of it and make use of this function. Provide your models and inputs. So we will see what other arguments it is possible and what is the meaning of each argument in a minute. So let's see. So what I did here, if you see, I imported the module and I initiated my client. Now one thing is, if you don't provide this OpenAI key, okay, still it would work. The reason, because uh, if you see by default, okay, so if you see, this OpenAI standard is used by multiple, so Google Gemini, Grok, Anthropic, and many others. Okay, maybe Claude and the Olama, the one which we will run in local also, Olama. So everyone is using the same thing. So if you want to instantiate the object of different models, what you need to do is you need to pass, one is the key and one is model. Let me mention, one is API key and one is model, and then one is base URL. Okay, but all this to tell the OpenAI instance belongs to which one. But by default, if we don't mention anything, by default it will be making use of our OpenAI API. Okay, so even if I don't mention this, it should work. But as of now, I'm keeping it, and let's go ahead. So first, what I'm doing is I'm entering a prompt. As of now, it's hard coded. We'll make it dynamic. We'll take it from GPT, from chatbot or somewhere. But as of now, let's say explain what list comprehension are there are in Python with an example. Okay, and we are giving model GPT-4o. And let's say this is the instruction that we are asking. So this is a prompt. So we passed three arguments to our LLM, LLM, which is model, instruction, and input. Okay, so here we are giving it, but okay, let's run it once. Let's see the output, and then later on we will try to tune it. So if I run it, what it is doing is it is making use of my API key from the environment variable, and behind the scenes, when this method is called, it is actually making an API call. All right, so let's see the output, and before that, yeah. So we see list comprehension in Python provide this and this something example. Okay, we are getting different approaches, different examples, all that we got. So it means we were able to communicate with our OpenAI's model successfully. Now we use GPT-4. Why we are using this one? Is it good one? Is it bad one? Let's try to understand what are the models that are available. Okay, so for that, what we can do is you can see libraries here, you can similarly see models here. So if you scroll down, you can see different language snippets in different language. But as of now, let's try to understand what is the model. Okay, so here we can see different models we have, and what is the purpose of each model we can read. Okay, but let's say our primary focus is text generation. So in that case, which one should I use and when should I what? Like in development, which model I should use, in production, which model should I use, or should I keep the same model across the environment? Let's see that in the pricing section. Okay, so by default, it is working for you because when you generate a key, you have some a free quota given to you, and it changes every now and then. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's limited for number of days, sometimes they give us for a month. So if we are getting the quota exceeded, either you can generate key with a new email and try again, or you can maybe pay 100 or 200 rupees and try out. So here if you see, which model did we use? We used GPT-4o. Now if you see, GPT-4o is this much costly, 2.50. So should I use it for my learning or for my teaching? Of course I can use it, but what I will use? I will use GPT-4o mini, because the kind of queries that I'm doing is not, doesn't need that much. So you can see, first of all, we saw what are different models are available and what is the purpose of each. We can choose accordingly. Now let's say we selected the domain. Now in that domain we have multiple models available, then you can make use of the pricing. So as of now, I kept 4o, but since you people will also run it, let me keep 4o me, because I don't want you to lose your free bandwidth unnecessarily. Still, it will work. Okay. Now, uh, so we are able to get the response. Now let's scroll down. What is our next thing? So previously, if you see, what we did was we passed only model, instructions, and input. Now, what is the instructions? What is input? Now, if you want to know that, you to recollect what we discussed previously. So we have seen different kinds of prompt. Instructions, you can say it's a system prompt which defines what is the purpose of this model, what the model is meant for, not the model, what our agent is meant for. Okay, model of course GPT-4 or mini, but let's say instruction, I'm saying you are a financial agent. Okay, and in the input prompt is what the user, as an end user, I'm asking. For example, I can ask it a kitchen recipe. Now based on the instruction, the model should use its intelligence and respond to me. In one liner, input is basically a user prompt, instruction is a system prompt which says what is this agent meant for. Okay, so we have used three attributes of the create method, and now let's try to understand. Here we are using two more max output tokens and temperature. Now let's say I'm not taking you to that website documentation because it will divert. Okay, so how do I understand it from here only? Okay, let's say I'm also seeing it for the first time. So what I can do is I can do control click on here, or I simply hover and I can see what are the different parameters which is feasible for me, okay, which I can give. But what is the temperature meaning? I don't know. Let's say I don't know, then how do I know? So I'll just go inside this documentation and I'll see where is temperature. So let me open this definition, and here I can see temperature. Where is temperature? Here it is. Okay, now when I hover on it, I can see what sampling temperature to use between 0 to higher values like 0.8 will make the output more random, while lower values will like 0.2 will make it more focused and deterministic. So similarly, if I see what is the max output tokens meaning, so okay, I can read the documentation from here also, and upper bound for the number of tokens. So why is this relevant? Okay, because when you are asking something, the the output, the processing of the LLM is not in your control. Maybe it will so first of all, what is tokens? The input prompt that I'm giving, the system prompt that I'm giving, and the output result that I'm giving all together is the number of tokens that is used in that request, okay, in that completion of that call. So if you have a bandwidth, a limited bandwidth, and you did not keep any constraint on the on the agent of how many tokens to use, what if you exhaust your bandwidth? So in that case you can mention here. So if you see, I got this much big answer, right? Now if I keep 50 and if I try to run it, so I'm expecting it to give me in a very short bullet forms, okay? So this is how it gave. One thing I can give is I can tune my prompt to say that give me only in the short bullets or summary, but I cannot put constraint on the token, so I can do that here. Okay, so that is max output tokens. Let's spend a minute on understanding the temperature also, and then we will go to our next thing. So, in our previous discussions, we saw like when the LLM has to predict the next word, right? It pushes the search direction in the vector space that, okay, I have to move towards the tower or Eiffel Tower or which word. So it moves in different directions and does some computation and predicts the next word. Okay, now when you say temperature, it basically let's say I have 10 words which is in my radar. So if I increase my temperature, the words in my radar will increase. If I decrease the temperature, the words in my radar will decrease. Okay, now the number of words or the radar you decide based on the temp. Now the more the temp, the more the randomness. Or let me see, is it other way around? Yeah, so let's see, higher values will make the output more random. So the more the temperature, the more the radar, and even the least likely predicted word could is something which could possibly it can predict. But if you keep the temperature less, it will be more accurate. I should not say accurate, but it will be more deterministic. Its focus of light or its radar of words will be slightened a bit. Okay, so I understood. I hope you understood this. And similarly, what I would suggest is you try out playing around with this different parameters as well. Now with that mentioned, we let's understand. So we got the result, and now the response that we are printing, right? So this response, let's see what are different attributes we have. So if I hover on this, um, let's see, create. Yeah, if I go to create, if I go to definitions, and yeah, so this create is going to return me this response. Okay, and this response contains all these attributes. Now you can read the documentation each, or just for your reference or for our understanding, let's see what is the output that it gives. But you can see different attributes that we have in the response. So I think this is what we have used so far. You can go deep dive into it. But yeah, that's our first exercise where we played around with parameters. We communicated with the API, and I showed you how you can deep dive into different documentation functions and arguments. So before we jump on to the classical way of things, two problems we'll try to solve here is when we are asking something from the LLM, right? It is giving us randomly in different formats. So what we are going to do is first let's make it reusable so that we can simply call a function with our prompt, user prompt as an input, and then we will structurize the way we want the output from the LLM. So by giving the output format. So for that, what we can do is we are defining a function where I'm passing the prompt, okay, basically as one input string, and then you define your temperature and max tokens. And if you are not defining, this is the default value that it will use. And I'm keeping it very limited because it's a free API key, okay. And if it's still not working, you're getting quota exceeded, you create with the different email, okay. Now this let me run, and you can call this any number of times. It's just the same thing that we created before, okay. So now here, um, yeah, okay, the with statement is used to, okay, so basically it's the output of the prompt that I'm asking. Now you ask something silly, and then we will see, okay. Also what you can do is you keep the system prompt something very dedicated, like you are a banking employee, and here you ask something about cricket question. Let's see how it responses, how it gives response, and later you try to control that response. We will see different topics around that: the guardrails, the handoffs, the tools, resources, multi-agents, different workflow types, the pydantic models, all that we will see. But as of this tutorial, we are only trying to understand the basics, okay. So let's look at one more way of talking to the OpenAI. So if we see, this is part B using the classic chat completion API. Now, what is the difference? Ignore the every context. Just focus on this one method. Let me zoom in a bit. So if you see, previously when we were trying to call the agent, we were using client.response.create, right? Where client was nothing but an instance of an OpenAI. If you see here, it was instead of OpenAI. Similarly, we'll create one more instance of OpenAI. For example, we are going to create something like this OpenAI. Here, if you see, instead of the previous method, we are going to use chat completions create API. Now, what does this mean and what does that mean? Previously, that we were using was like a single API call, okay, single shot, or of course, everything will have a context, but there we were doing individual calls. But here, we will use mostly this for conversational kind of dialog box. For example, if you take ChatGPT, you ask one question, you get one more response, then you are asking some more question. So in that kind of case, you go for this. Of course, you can persist the construct in every way, but why is it suggested as basically if you see the message format. So previously we were passing a simple statement as a system instruction as a user prompt, right? But here it changes. So first what you are doing is you are creating a list of messages where you are defining same structure. First, what is the role, and then what is the content. So we are defining two things, one the system and one the user. Now both of them will pass in message, but this system message will be treated as system prompt. This user will be treated as user prompt. Similarly, we have developer prompt, assistant prompt, and different prompt we will see. Okay, we will see in a minute. But overall, when you should go for this kind of methods, I hope you understood. So here we are using the mini version and we are passing this model, and let's print it. And while we are getting the response, let's go inside this messages. Okay, now when I go inside this messages, you can see it's the type is chat completion message param. So if I see, we have different types of that prompt that we are discussing. So what is this first one? Developer message param. It means that it's a developer message. Okay, you can keep a role as developer and send a message. Similarly, what is the next thing? Oh, system message param. So here you can see the role is system, and then you can pass message. Similarly, this is user, this is assistant, and there are two more things, tool and function. So we'll try to understand more about this in coming session, but as of now you understood that how we are passing these messages, and whether user, system, or any other prompt, all you are passing here. Okay, and we got the response, and it is a bit big because we did not kept max tokens. So we asked that you are a friendly Python assistant. That is what our agent is meant for. And then what is our model? What is our user prompt? Explain what decorators are in Python. So we are asking one Python function, Python decorators explanation. So it gave us, okay, along with the example. Now, the same thing that we did previously, that is, we are playing around with different temperature. We'll play around with it again. Now, does it changes? No, the context remains same. Just the way the kind of method we are using is changing. And then let's create a reusable function. And here, if you see, I'm using a response format, but usually when it gives, it can give us in any format, right? So when I'm saying response format, I'm giving it a JSON object saying the type that I want from you is basically a JSON object. So now I'm getting it in the JSON format. Now one more thing is there is a concept called pydantic model. So what will happen is, for example, if I want to know what is the subject of this and what is the context and what is the oldest date uh, content that it got, what is the latest date content that it got, this kind of specifications I want out of that LLM response. Basically, I'm saying, hey LLM, when you give me the response, or I should not use the term LLM, I should use the term agent. So when I'm telling agent, you give me the response in this specific format, so that format I should give. So for example, I can say class my model, and this is basically a pydantic class, so I will say base model. Don't worry about this, we will have a separate thing about. So I can give different subject. Let's say this is one attribute, domain, okay, oldest date, oldest date, and the latest date. Like this I can give, and this my model I can part in the response format. Okay, so basically I tell it explicitly that what kind of response format I want to use. So this could be a pydantic model, this could be an annotated model, or I should say annotated functionality, or it could be a simple uh, this JSON object. Okay, so as of now we gave JSON object. So I'm basically showing one more attribute. So I got the response that I was getting previously also, but in the format that I want. Okay, now after this video, maybe you can explore more options out of this. So what we did today was, if I go here in the library. So we read about pricing, we read about models, and if you go inside this, we generated API key, and then we used the single shot API, and we used the chat completions. And now if you click on it, you will be redirected to this GitHub page where they are giving snippet examples of different options that are available. So I hope this exercise was a good start for you. I will push this onto my GitHub, and you can find it here on this repo. Everything you can find it in the YouTube description. And once you are done, keep you can click on the notification bell icon, because I will be giving a few more exercises, few more methods, or few more exploration we will do on the OpenAI SDK before we jump onto the OpenAI framework, and then LangChain, LangGraph, MCP, and other things we will see. So I hope you liked the session, and it was very short, but the setup and everything will take a bit of time because this is the first time. So once by the end of this video, when you have set up with the UV, the crew, the next set of videos and exercise would be easy for you. So with that mention, do mention in the comment section how you liked it or what modifications you want me to do. And we have planned a lot more interesting stuff. We are going to make use of Langsmith for tracing purpose, ChatGPT for tracing purpose, and then we will see how to make use of tools, resources, how to persist in in-memory database or SQL database, uh, and how I can give it my LinkedIn or my resume and create a career conversation assistant. Like that, we will be doing different projects and exercises to learn. So if you liked it, do subscribe, click on notification, and mention in the comment section. With that mention, all the best to you, and let's meet in the next video. Thank you.